All right, welcome everybody to a brand new day of Computer Science 1. We're going to do one new fallacy today. We're going to do the correlation is not causation fallacy. And then we're going to talk about the good and bad of social media and Section 230 and a lot of other kind of interesting social issues in computer science topics and how advertising works on the internet and things like that. So, correlation is causation. Now, you'll hear people say correlation is not causation. This is correct. The fallacy is correlation is causation. And so what that means is anytime you have two variables that are moving with each other, the human brain sort of intrinsically assumes they cause each other. It's actually part of how the human brain works. If you have, a straw and a pen and they go like this and they go like this and they go like this and they go like this, then we infer causation between the two of them. Boom, 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 boom. Like it looks like, the thing hitting it is causing it to fly away. It's just how our brain works. And the trouble is when you actually believe that non-ironically. So, for example, in back in the day, we used to have these polio outbreaks, and the polio outbreaks would take place every summer. And what else happens in summertime? People go swimming in pools, people eat ice cream. And so people incorrectly inferred that polio is caused by eating ice cream and polio is caused by swimming pools. And so they're like, tell people don't eat ice cream, you'll get polio, And in reality, the what was happening was okay, maybe you can get it from a swimming pool. I don't know. And there's FDR. Yeah. The reality is people are getting polio because in summertime, kids would go out and play and they would sneeze on each other and stuff like that, right? And so what else happens in summertime? People eat ice cream. And so summertime was causing both people to go out and sneeze on each other and to eat ice cream and to go to swimming pools. It was not swimming pools causing the polio. It was not ice cream causing the polio. What they saw was these two things correlated with each other, and they drew a false causation. Okay, so a more modern and maybe even more depressing example of this would be at a company called Fannie Mae. How many people here, Marco Polio? How many people here know what Fannie Mae is? Anyone? Revenue 30 billion a year, net income 22 billion a year, total assets $4 trillion. They are one of the largest companies in the world. They own basically everybody's mortgage. There's Freddie Mac also, and and then after that you're getting down into the single digits of percentages. They basically buy mortgages from the bank. So if you get a loan from Bank of America or Wells Fargo or US Bank or whatever, your bank will own your mortgage for like a month or two, and then Fannie Mae buys the mortgage from them. Then the bank now has cash, and they can give out another loan, and then Fannie Mae actually owns your mortgage, and even though you probably don't even know it, like from your perspective, like you don't notice any difference, but they technically own your house. And so they have a lot of what you might call sweetheart deals from Congress. For example, when they went bankrupt, Congress bailed them out. That's nice. And so mortgage prices, conservatorship. So the federal government took over. Yeah. So people worried that they would go bankrupt. And so the major banks have been sued for $200 million. And so the upshot is like we can't allow Fannie Mae to fail, and Freddie Mac as well to fail. Now, the trouble with Fannie Mae is that because they're too. This is where the term "too large to fail" comes from. Like they're literally too large to fail. If they failed, it would just throw the entire housing market into a complete fanny pack. Yeah, it's not a great name. Let's be honest. Like Fannie Mae is just not. It's not a great name for a company. The number 3 largest corporation by revenue, but what about in terms of assets? I don't know, but they're pretty big. They're pretty big. Now the problem is this: they're so big and they're so influential that when they go to Congress and talk, the Congress listens. And so one of the things that Fannie Mae told people is that correlation is causation, except they didn't put it in that words because then people would know that they were lying. What they said was, look, the numbers are clear. People that have a lot of money own houses more than rent, right? Like if you're a millionaire, you probably don't rent an apartment. You probably own a house, right? So home ownership and income correlate with each other. I don't think anybody here is going to be surprised by that, right? Like the more money you make, the more likely you are to own a home. So what they went up in front of Congress and said was, if you want income levels in America to rise, you need to get more people into houses, because these two things correlate with each other. So if we can get more people into houses, then their incomes will go up. So the federal government's like, yeah, that's a great idea. Let's get more people into houses. And a friend of mine was a PhD from UC Irvine, hired by Fannie Mae, was working for them until he very tragically died a year ago. A year ago and a month ago, he died. And he, basically said, like nobody can really quantify the benefits of actually owning a house, right? Like if you're just like an owner of a house versus renting a house and all the other numbers are the same, like what's the difference, right? So regardless, Congress has a whole bunch of incentives to get people into houses, right? Like if you own a house, if you have a mortgage on a house, you get to write the mortgage off on your taxes, for example. It's an incentive to get people to own houses. And that's because they believe there is a benefit to having people own a house, right? Like look at how much more money people make when they own houses. And no, it's because rich people buy houses, not because buying a house makes you rich. If you can't afford a house and you buy a house, it's not good for you. And that's where the 2008 crisis came from. The 2007, 2008 mortgage crisis came because the US government was incentivizing people to pack people into houses. Everybody gets a house, no money down, no, interest only loan, right? So the easiest way to get somebody to a house. Here's a house. The house is yours. How much does it cost me? Nothing. $0. You just walk into the house and you get a loan, and the loan is just interest only. So you're essentially renting. Like you're not building any equity in the house. Like you don't really own the house. Like you're just paying, $1,200 a month in interest on the loan, and that's your house. And if you want, you can put money into it and build equity. But why would you? Because there's no reason to. And as everybody knows, housing prices go up. And look, as we're packing more people into houses, demand goes up for houses, and so the value of the house rises, and you've made money for free. You put no money down, you're just paying the interest on the loan, and the house has gone up $100,000 in value. Look at that, you've made $100,000 for nothing. And so everybody was flooding into it. They're doing these subprime mortgages where people who had really no income and no business owning a house were being put into houses. And this was all the result of government, this government belief that if we can get more people into houses, then it'll be good for them. And it turns out it wasn't, because when the mortgage crisis hit, houses dropped in value. All of a sudden, these mortgages were underwater, which means that they owed more money on the mortgage than the house was worth, and so people just walked away from the house. Like if you owe $500,000 on a house that's worth $200,000, like there's absolutely no reason for you to pay off that loan. You just leave. You just abandon the loan, and now the bank is stuck with this 500 because they're not paying any principal on it. Like they're just they're just paying the interest on it, and so there's still $500,000 outstanding on this loan for this house that was worth $500,000. Now it's worth, say, $400,000. That people leave, the bank's left with a loan that is more debt than the house is worth, so they can't even sell off the house to make the money back. And then what happens is they sell the house at a loss, and then other people, then that depresses the housing market because they're just trying to sell the house as cheaply as they can. Housing prices start falling. More and more houses go underwater. People walk away from their houses. 2 doors down from me was a pair of doctors who walked away from their loan. Like, they had money, but they're also not stupid. They're doctors, and so they worked for the state. Like, they were pretty well off, and they had an interest-only loan on their house, and they walked away from it, and so the house got repossessed by the bank, and the bank was like, I don't know what to do with this house. It was just vacant for a number of years, and they rented it out to a teenage criminal, I guess. I don't know. His parole officer was showing up once a week. I'd pull into my house, and there's like the cop car. I'm like, oh my gosh, what's going on? He's like, no, don't worry about it. It's just my parole officer. I'm like, all right, okay. And his dog would run around and poop on everyone's front lawn, mine included. Whatever, not a big deal. I would see him occasionally pulling furniture out of the house and selling it. I'm like, oh, you're getting a new fridge? He's like, no, I'm just selling my fridge. I'm like, oh, that's weird. And turns out what he was doing is he was renting the house, no money down, no security deposit. He had no income. What he was doing is he was selling the furniture in the house to pay the monthly rent. And so they walked away with it fully furnished. And so by the time he was done with it, there was no toilets left. There was no fridge or sink or dishwasher or any of that stuff. He had sold all the stuff in it. And he lived there for about a year, just selling off all the stuff he could, and then went into, the months of like, I'm not paying rent, and then they have to go through eviction, and then he finally left. And then the bank now has a house that's worth even less than it was before. This was all the result of, he's a smart guy. Like, I mean, I got along with him fine. Like, we talked, and he was clearly a clever guy, but like, from the bank's perspective, like, man, it wasn't good. They turned off the water on the front lawn, to save money. And so the lawn died, the plants died. They came out and they spray painted the grass green, to make it look good. And all of this was the cause of correlation is causation fallacy, right? We need to get more people into houses. It'll be good for them. Turns out it wasn't, right? So there's a great website here called Spurious Correlations. And you can see that you can see exactly what I mean by correlation is causation fallacy. So here in red, in red, we have the amount of cheese eaten per year in America. So you'd see the per capita consumption has gone up from 30 pounds of cheese to 33 pounds of cheese between the year 2000 and 2007. And then people dying by being tangled in their bed sheets, which is horrifying if you think about that. The number of people that have died by being tangled in their bed sheets has gone up from 327 to 741. That is horrifying. Like, that's more people than like drowned by falling into a pool. In 2007 there was 123 people that died by drowning in a pool, and that makes sense, right? Like, you leave your pool unlocked or something, a kid sneaks in and drowns. Yeah, it's tragic, but you understand it, right? Like, should have locked the gate, Kid jumped over my fence and jumped into the pool and didn't know how to swim, and they drowned, right? Like, it makes sense. I don't understand 741 people dying by being tangled in their bed sheets. Like, that's like that's 7 times the number of people that drown in pools too. Like, that's horrifying. Like, what the heck? Make your bed. I don't know. Like, tuck your bed sheets in or something. Like, I don't know what's going on with that. That's crazy. But the point is that, as it turns out, cheese does not cause people to die in their bed sheets, as best as I can tell. What you have here is, as the cheese consumption rises, people dying by being tangled in their bed sheets rises also. And it's just a spurious correlation. These two things just happen to correlate with each other. They're not causing each other. Do you guys understand? People dying by being tangled in their bed sheets does not cause more people to eat cheese. And people eating cheese does not cause people to die by being tangled in their bed sheets. But Fannie Mae would go in front of Congress and say the causation actually works both ways. The more money people make, the more houses they'll buy. The more houses people buy, the more money they'll make. And they pointed, it's double causation. It's every way it works. And then, we get, a nationwide, actually a worldwide economic crisis as the result of it. What if it does? I don't know. Like, I mean, here's the thing. It's like that R value there. The R value is a very strong R value. R value is how much two numbers go with each other, how much they correlate with each other. And that's an extremely strong result. Like if this was a social science paper, like people would probably assume that it is actually a causative relationship if you have an R value of 0.94. That's huge. Like Nicolas Cage versus people drowning in the pool is only 0.66, and 0.66 is still a good R value. People would look at that and be like, yeah, probably Nicolas Cage is people causing themselves to throw themselves into a pool, like National Treasure 20s coming out, at some point, and people are like, no, I can't take it anymore, and they jump in a pool. I don't know. So, yeah, a 0.66 R value is good. 0.94 is huge. This is an extremely strong correlation. But as it turns out, there is no causative relationship between the two of them. So the divorce rate in Maine correlates with the per capita consumption of margarine, 0.99 R value, right? So clearly, if you want the divorce rate to go down, tell people to eat less margarine. No, it doesn't work. Doesn't work that way, okay? Very common mistake, though, people make in science, because it's a lot easier to do correlation than it is to determine causation, right? It's a lot easier to do a retrospective study on the data. You look at which variables fluctuate with each other. Look, if you eat margarine, your cancer goes up. Like, okay, cool. Margarine causes cancer. Not necessarily. Not necessarily. It's actually a lot harder to prove causation. You'd have to do like a randomized controlled trial over a span of years and feed people margarine, which is hard to do because they're off at their houses. Eat more margarine. Okay, sure. And then they don't. It's actually hard to, and then they get divorced. You're like, what's going on? I guess margarine does cause divorce. I don't know. She used to make me butter popcorn, and now it's margarine popcorn. I can't take it anymore. And they leave. The age of Miss America correlates with murders by steam, which is horrifying. But that's only like 4, like bed sheets, man. Like 740, like that's a lot of people dying in their bed sheets. Right? Consumption of mozzarella cheese with civil engineering doctorates. People who drowned after falling out of a fishing boat. That one I understand, right? Because fishing boat deaths, 11. Yeah, right? People drink and then they fall and they drown. Okay, that one I get. Bed sheets, though, man, that's horrifying. Drivers killed in collisions with railway trains, 46 a year. Crude oil imports from Norway. So clearly, we need to import less oil if we want people not to get run over by a train in their car. Correlation, 95% correlation, right? It's huge. Okay. So do you guys understand this principle? For you to get your participation points, I'd like for you to now come up with a false correlation. Okay. In the previous class, the student said, if you want to become tall, you should join the NBA. Right? Because being in the NBA correlates with being tall. And so I want you to give me a fallacy. Give me a false statement. Okay. Have some fun with this. Use your powers for evil, not for good. So come up with a false correlation is causation fallacy. If you want to become tall, join the NBA. Okay? Pretend that you're a Fannie Mae executive testifying before Congress. Okay? So I'm going to go ahead and pause the recording here and give you guys a minute or so to come up with some false, some spurious correlations, some false causations. Okay, we're back. So there's some good ones here. Ice cream is eaten at the beach. Shark attacks happen at the beach. So if you want to die from a shark attack, go eat ice cream. Okay. Great. Correlation is causation fallacy from Seth there. Rich people have fancy cars. So buy a fancy car and you'll be rich. Levi, perfect. I would even say rich people, being rich correlates with owning a car. Therefore, a fancy car. Therefore, if you want to become rich, own a fancy car, right? That would be maybe a better way of doing a correlation is causation fallacy. These aren't real, by the way. These are fallacies. We're doing fallacies right now, not real things. If you want to become rich, use Bounty Ultrasoft. I don't know about that. I mean, rich people use Charmin Ultrasoft. Is that the same one? I don't know. So being rich correlates with nice toilet paper. Therefore, if you want to become rich, buy nice toilet paper. Sure. If you want to be strong, join Japanese sumo wrestling. I mean, maybe like you probably would get strong if you did sumo wrestling. But yeah, just the fact you call yourself a sumo wrestler doesn't make you strong. You become healthy, be a doctor. I don't actually. Yeah, I'm gonna say Christian. That one doesn't work. So if you want to meet a celebrity, go to Hollywood. Hollywood is where insane people go. Go to Hollywood, meet a celebrity, and become insane. Okay. Good, Joanna. He's a football YouTuber. Okay, but do footballers watch the guy? Because you said, so if you want to do a correlation is causation fallacy, like if a lot of soccer players watch a YouTube channel, then correlation is causation would be like, if you watch the channel, you'll become a soccer player. Something like that. The fact that he's a football YouTube channel doesn't work. If you want to be fit, do nothing but sit on the couch all day. I don't see that one, Alex. If you want to become fit, go eat at McDonald's. I don't see that one, Alejandro. If you want to be tall, eat spaghetti. Eminem is 5'8". Is 5'8" tall? Like it's pretty normal sized, I think, right? It's not. I don't know. If you watch soccer on TV, buy soccer equipment. That's not a causation statement, though, Chris. If you want to be a football player, watch Cristiano Ronaldo. Again, that's not really causation. It's correlation is causation, right? So let me give you some more examples of what we're looking for. As people eat more chicken, we use more crude oil. Therefore, eating chicken causes us to import more crude oil. Or contrawise, bidirectional causation, buying crude oil causes us to eat more fried chicken. I don't know. Maybe there's something to that. Like we've gotten more oil to fried chicken in. I don't know. Number of people who drown while in a swimming pool correlates with power generated by U.S. nuclear power plants. Therefore, if you want more people to drown, which you do, increase the amount of power generated by nuclear power plants. Okay? That's what we're looking for on the chat right now. Letters in the winning word of Scripps National Spelling Bee correlates with number of people killed by venomous spiders. Again, we're doing fallacies right now. We're not being good critical thinkers. We're being the opposite of good critical thinkers. We are being internet people. And we're making a fallacy. We're doing the bad thing we're not supposed to do. Therefore, if you want people to die from venomous spiders, and I do, then we need to get the Scripps National Spelling Bee people to put more words into the final word. And my lord, that's a lot of letters. 14. That's great. That's If you want more uranium to be stored, award more math doctorates. Okay, so if you want more people to drown, have Nicolas Cage make another National Treasure movie. Cologne smells good. Water is a liquid like cologne. If you want to smell good, spray water on yourself. If you want to spam the chat, you'll get a thumbs up from Professor Kearney. There probably is some correlation between participation and there's probably a causative thing there, right? Because if you never chat, you will not get the participation points. But yeah, sure. If you want to cure your blindness, eat carrots. If you want to run fast, eat your veg. The more undiagnosed diabetics eat, the thinner they get. Therefore, what? Yeah, you got to give me the causative. You got to give me the causation here. Therefore, something. So keep working on those while I pull up the next thing here. Let's see. So our next topic is social media. We talked a little bit about this last week with corporate censorship. We're going to continue that discussion today. Again, this is social issues in computer science. So let's whenever you're a critical thinker, like it's a good habit to get into, to weigh the pros and cons of something. Don't just think something's all good, something's all evil. If you want to be a critical thinker, then what you do is you say, hey, what are the good things? What are the bad things? And then you evaluate it. Is there more positive than negative? Is there more negative than positive? What can we do to mitigate the negatives? What can we do to encourage the positives? That kind of thing. Okay. So start off, everyone, by giving me pros for Facebook. Let's just say Facebook for now, to keep it kind of focused on one thing. What are some good things that Facebook does for the world? Like what are some positive aspects of specifically Facebook? Look at the things here. If you want your phone to charge fast, look away and act you don't care. Because when you look away and don't care, yeah, okay, that's a good one, Sandra. Because if you look away and don't care, that correlates with your phone charging. Sure. Popeye is strong and eats spinach. If I eat spinach, I will be strong like Popeye. I mean that's sort of in the right area, but more iPhones purchased, more tons of toilet paper being bought. Yeah, that's a good one, Ryan. Yep. Sales of iPhones correlate with toilet paper sales. So communication, connect people around the world, connect with friends from long distances. Facebook lets me know my aunts do wish me happy birthday. If you're on Facebook every day, you lack vitamin D. Cool. Yeah, that's a good correlation. It's causation one. Tying in two topics together, Chris. Very good. You get to connect with friends and family. You get to state your opinions, which, for better or worse, is absolutely true. Facebook Marketplace allows you to buy things for cheap. Facebook gives me gems in some games. You mean like the power gems? Like you get 30 power gems for $1, that kind of stuff? Or you mean like you actually found some good gems, Alejandro? Promoting your businesses, sure. Namikaze, local sushi restaurant. They do like a photo shoot once a month, and then they upload the photos onto Facebook. Reminders for your friends' birthdays, chicken memories. Yeah, that's both true, Pete. Good for finding people with similar interests. Facebook memories, sure. So, okay. So, what are some negatives of Facebook? So, yeah, you can communicate with people. Personally, I consider Facebook like a press release. I'm all fuzzy now. Okay, there we go. I consider Facebook like a press release. Like, hey, I'm in Toronto now. And then if I have any friends in the area, like, oh, I'm in Toronto too, we should meet up, And so it allows you to, keep in contact with people without having to send an email every time you do something. Hey, I'm going to be in Toronto. Anyone in Toronto? Let's meet up in Toronto. Like all 1,000 of your friends, right? It's a lot more convenient to just like say, hey, I'm in Arizona right now. Anyone want to meet up? Nothing is private. Misinformation. Fake account results in harassment and abuse. All true. Addicting. Yeah, that's a definite thing. Haters, robots try to scam you. Moms post embarrassing pictures of you. Fake accounts. Yeah, one of my friends is a journalist in Virginia now. I'm like, hey, I found some photos of us from high school. He's like, don't you dare post this. It's like a television news reporter, and I'm like, hey, I found some photos of us from like 9th grade. You want me to put them on Facebook? He's like, I will kill you if you do that. Got hacked. Information theft. Every middle-aged person believes what they see there. That sounds like a correlation is causation fallacy, Alejandro. Pizzucon's very addictive and can lead to detrimental effects on your physical and mental health. Yeah. So the whole addiction thing, or specifically what, and that's the purpose of Facebook, right? It's not a side effect. It's not like, oh, we accidentally addicted people. Like some video games are addictive, it's not like an accident just from being amazing. It's actually a design feature of Facebook. Like what they do is they do what's called A/B testing. So they'll roll out one version of their site to half the people. It doesn't have to be half; it could be just a fraction. And then another version of the site to another half, and they can see which one results in more engagement, and they keep that one. And then the next day they can try a different thing. Like what if we put this up front and this down below? And they roll it out and they see this one's better, and they keep that one. And every day they can iterate and see which version of Facebook is the most addictive, which one grabs your eyeballs and glues you to the screen and causes you to sit there for hour after hour just scrolling through your news feed. And it's not accidental. It's actually they've had sort of an evolutionary like survival of the fittest for their algorithms, right? Where they try different algorithms and see which one's better at keeping your attention glued to the screen. Because in today's economy, your attention is the most precious commodity you have. That's what all of the tech companies are fighting over. They're fighting over your attention. What are you paying attention to? That is the most precious thing you can give someone. If you've ever had a child, or if you've worked with children, like how important attention is. Like when the kid's like, "Hey, Daddy, look at this new artwork I made," Look at this cool new artwork I made. And you're like, "Yeah, honey, it's great." You don't even look at it. You're just sitting there scrolling on your phone. That is destructive to a child. That is absolutely destructive to a child. Like, Daddy, I spent all this time, making this cool artwork of a frog out camping. Yeah, honey, that's great. That's cool. Sorry, I gotta work right now. Absolutely destructive to a child. The best gift that you can give a child is to actually sit there and make eye contact and give them your full attention. Right? Drop on your knees, get at their level. Say, "All right, tell me about your art. What's going on here? Why is the frog camping? What kind of trees are these? And to actually sit there and like spend time and like work, like talk about it. Why is there a little bow here? Is this like a holiday wreath? Like, what's going on here?" And to actually sit there and give them your full and uninvited attention is the greatest gift you can give a kid. I mean, I guess you can feed them too and give them shelter and stuff like that. But really, the attention and the love that you give somebody comes from that undivided attention. And our modern society is designed to destroy that. Honestly, it's Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and Reddit and all of these people are competing for our attention, and they're so strong sometimes that you ignore people in real life. You don't hang out with your friends because you're just sitting there doing this. Because it's so good at capturing your attention that it actually can have a negative impact on the real life. And so remember that, like, if somebody's talking to you, like, put the phone away, right? It's horrible when you're at dinner with somebody, you're talking to them, they're like, yeah, you're right. Aliens are invading, sure. It's absolutely horrible. So, put your phone down, talk to people. And it's hard because, again, they have designed their algorithms to be maximally addicting. Like, Zuckerberg will sit there from the top of his throne in Silicon Valley, and this is a true story. And he'll decide, like, "Oh, you know what? I don't think our engagement numbers are high enough in Korea right now," and so he can just turn some knobs, and then he can watch engagement rise in Korea. Engagement is how much time people are spending on Facebook, right? That's the attention. They're grabbing the attention of people. And so they're just like, let's turn up these dials here, and then we're going to get more engagement in Korea today. And that's actually a true story. You can just sit there and just turn some knobs, and then people are more engaged in Korea. It's crazy if you think about it. So, and it's not, it's obviously not just Facebook. Like, all of them are designed to try to capture your attention. And it's something that I think that most people aren't aware of. Like, it's not, the addictive quality of it is actually baked into the system. It's deliberate. Now, what you might wonder is like, why is all this stuff free? Like, I've never paid Facebook $1. I've never given Facebook a single dollar, ever. I've never given Google. I take that back. Google gets a cut of Google Store payments and things like that. So I have paid Google. Like if I buy an app on Android, then Google gets a cut of that. But I've never paid Google to use Google, like the search engine. I've never paid Google to use Gmail. I've never paid Google to use Google Docs. Have any of you guys ever cut a check to Google for $500 for email for the year? It costs a lot of money to run Google and to run Gmail. It does. And so it's a bit weird, isn't it, that they rolled out this brand new mail system, for free for people to use. A bit odd, isn't it? Anyone know why they're interested in handling your mail for you? They sell your data. Not really. Not exactly. Google protects your privacy. And by that, they mean they know everything about you, but they try not exactly to sell that about you. They don't actually sell your data per se. What they do is they sell you, right? Ads, exactly. It's all about advertising. And so here's what happens. So like I unfortunately have ad blockers installed. So like you can see these ads just don't load on my computer. It's not normally I want an ad blocker, but today I was like, I want to pull up an ad, and everything's blocked, and oh well. Imagine there's an ad here. I'm sure you've seen internet ads before. Here's what happens when you load a web page. So this is a web page on livestrong.com on the dangers of scented candles, hard-hitting journalism from livestrong.com. And so when I loaded this page, here's what happened. There's an advertisement here. And if you go over to the right-hand side here, you can see data ad bidding is true. So what that means is when you go to this page, let's say that Google's servicing these ads. It doesn't matter if it's Google or Microsoft or somebody else. They kind of work the same way. So here's what happens. Google will be like, all right, so we've got a person, and it will share information about what it knows about you. It doesn't even have to share your name. Your name actually doesn't matter. Like who you are specifically actually doesn't matter because it doesn't. But here's what they'll say. Like, we've got a person who lives in Fresno, who makes $50,000 to $60,000 a year, who drives a truck. We know he doesn't have a truck liner. He plays golf. He's married. He's got 7 kids. This isn't me, obviously. And everything they know about you can come from like your Google Docs, like every document you put into Google Docs, every email you send, every search you make. All this stuff builds a comprehensive picture of who you are, because the more specific information they have on you as a person, the more you're worth to an advertiser. Selling an ad for a generic person in America is worth nothing. However, if they know that you are a person in Fresno, that's worth a lot more, because now you can sell to local companies like Famous Dave's Barbecue or something like that. And if they know your age range, that's better. If you play golf, that's even better. If they know you own a truck, that's even better. If they know specifically you don't have a truck liner, and they can know that from reading your email, then they might sell your ad to Uline or something like this. Hey, you need a truck. You need a truck bed liner, and that can actually be worth quite a lot of money. And so they want you to spend all of your time within the Google ecosystem, all of your Word documents, all of your Excel spreadsheets, all those things we used to do inside of Microsoft Office. They want you to do them inside of Google, because now they know all of your accounting information. They know all of your correspondence with people. They know all of your essays that you've ever written and your personal reflections. All of that stuff they know about you now, and they build a profile of you, which when this happens, there's a bidding war. So Google will provide your ad profile. Here's everything we know about this person. and then different advertisers will bid on it. So if somebody is, a golf company, and they might bid 50 cents because they know that you play golf and you're in the market for clubs right now. And a local ski resort might bid 20 cents because you live in the Fresno area, and China Peak, it's got a lot of snow. But there's no particular interest that you have in skiing. And then a truck bed company might bid $1 for the ad because they know you're specifically in the market to buy a truck bed liner right now, and they'll bid $1 for it. And so Google holds an auction on you. Every time you open up a web page that has ads on it, they auction you off to all of the advertisers out there. And all the advertisers will say, this is how much that ad is worth to me. The highest bidder wins. And then they get to send a picture over to the web page, and then that ad appears on the web page. And that's why ad blockers are life. It makes the web page load faster, because when all this bidding is taking place, it's not loading your page. The page will just sit there and be like, and then it'll load while the bidding is going on in the background. It takes like half a second or so. And so ad blockers actually make the internet usable, and also the ads themselves are annoying, and also the ads are part of this whole privacy issue. And from Google's perspective, it's like, look, we're providing you email for free, we're providing you Google Docs for free. And so there's a phrase in modern society saying, if you're not paying for the product, you are the product. And I would disagree with that, actually, for two reasons. So have you guys heard that phrase before? If you are not paying for the product, you are the product. And I actually think it's wrong for two reasons. First, free and open source software is free, and you're not the product. Very few FOSS products compromise your privacy. And even when they borderline do it, like Debian was like putting advertisements into their updates, or Ubuntu, was putting advertisements into their updates. People absolutely rioted over it. So free and open source software is free where you're not the product. And B, you can pay for something and still be the product. So Microsoft Windows 11, you can pay money for Microsoft Windows 11. And guess what Microsoft does? Windows 11 is now a ad platform. Like, the whole point of Microsoft Windows 11 is to gather information on you on your own computer and send it to Microsoft so they can advertise to you better. If you go onto your Microsoft privacy dashboard, you will be surprised, if you've never done this before, if you've never shut down, if you're just using stock Windows 11, you will be surprised by how much information Microsoft has collected on you just from using Windows, which to me is like horrific. Even if you've shut down everything, they will turn on new options automatically without asking you from time to time. Like I went on there and I'm like, oh, how did you know that I've been playing Path of Exile, Microsoft? And they said, you played Path of Exile for half an hour on Thursday. I'm like, how the hell did you know that? Why are you uploading the games that I'm playing to your thing? Like, that's not cool, And it was because they turned on a new feature where they just upload all of your programs you're running to them without asking you. And B, not everything can be disabled. So they have some essential telemetry that you can't turn off. And so even if you blocked everything in Microsoft, they will be contacting Microsoft 10 times a second, uploading things about you. And so the only way of actually stopping Microsoft from spying on you is by installing third-party software like spyware, anti-beacon, spybot beacon, whatever it's called, that actually blocks Microsoft's domains. And then that causes, of course, like Office to crash, because Office is like, I don't understand why you're not letting me spy on you. And it's fantastic. Do they still bid on you if you have an ad blocker? Nope. It's great. Crazy when ads pop about a certain thing when I thought about a certain thing in my head and never said anything. Yeah. There's a great example of a woman who was pregnant. She didn't know that she was pregnant, but she started getting ads like, hey, we have a deal on baby blankets, at Target. Hey, we got an ad on baby bottles. Hey, formula is 20% off right now. And she's like, why the hell am I getting all these ads for like pregnancy? And it turned out she was pregnant. She didn't know it. But the search engines had figured out that she was pregnant from her profile, essentially. Like, I'm sick in the morning. What's going on with this? And they actually figured out that she was pregnant before she did and started advertising to her. So she found out she was pregnant from the ads that she was getting. It's not mind reading. It's just a lot of data science, essentially. They're looking at trends and correlating and making predictions and things like that from it. If everyone got an ad blocker, would Google lose money? Yes, they would. And so, Google is predominantly an ad-based company. If everyone used ad blockers, sucks to be Google, I guess. And so I think that, Chrome is actually changing to make ad blocking harder. So my advice to you guys, if you care about this stuff, to not use Chrome. Chrome and Edge both are actually making it more difficult to do ad blocking. And Firefox, however, is not. And so my advice is to use Firefox with, uBlock Origin or something like that. If you care about privacy. If you don't care, then, knock yourself out. Like, some people don't. Some people don't. They're like, Google should make some money off it. They're providing my email. They should be able to read it. It makes sense. It's up to you. It's a personal decision that you get to make for yourself. So we're 5 minutes over. Sorry about that. I'll see you guys on Wednesday or Friday or someday. I don't know. And we will continue the conversation. Happy Hanukkah. Yeah. Thanksgiving's coming up, right? Yeah. I'll see you guys on Friday. And then, again, no class in person next Wednesday or Friday. All right. Peace out, you guys. Bye.